North Korea is perhaps the most mysterious country in the world. Because of harsh travel restrictions, people not from North Korea have seldom been to the country. And while there is ample documentation covering it, most of the footage shows only what the North Korean government wants you to see. Outside of a few documentary crews and extreme travel YouTubers, not many have been on the north side of the 38th parallel. And with the US travel ban implemented in 2017 that's likely going to be extended into this year, even less people are going to have a chance to see the country. With all that said, and as little knowledge as we do have, we know the country is run by dictator Kim Jong-un, the successor to both his father and grandfather. Since the Kim family came into power, North Korea has been viewed as one of, if not the least free country in the world. Since all media is strictly controlled by the North Korean government, if you're found in possession of any American, South Korean, or any other country's media, you've broken a law punishable by death. That brings us into the main prompt of the video. What kind of music is allowed to be made and released in North Korea? Music, an art form that has been at the forefront of countless movements and revolutions across the world. What's it like in a totalitarian dictatorship? I'm Deadpan Duke. Let's talk about it. The first question that comes to mind for me is, how do you even make music without hearing a variety of other sounds first? When we think of the greatest musicians to exist, they almost always cite a backlog of influences. The Beatles had Buddy Holly and Little Richard. Kendrick Lamar had Snoop Dogg, Tupac, etc. The Weeknd had Michael Jackson. See where I'm going with this? Unless we're talking about the very primal stages of music, it's not really something you can make without hearing other sounds first. For example, you can't give a caveman a computer and expect him to make synth pop. According to an article from Clark University, nearly every North Korean owns a single station radio. Every morning at 5 a.m., the North Korean national anthem wakes them up. It's their alarm. These radios have only one knob and it's for volume control, meaning you can't turn the music off, only up or down. The reason I bring this up as a conversation point is because if you think about it, the North Korean national anthem is the first exposure to music for almost every one of its citizens. From their home radios to their city squares, the anthem is impossible to escape. And I'm not gonna lie, despite everything wrong with the country, the anthem is pretty fire. Hearing it made me realize that, yeah, it would be pretty good for musical inspiration. That takes me to the music curriculum within North Korean schools. The same Clark University article cites, every aspect of their education is tailored towards fostering deep adoration for their leader, and a large part of how this is done is through the songs they are taught in early education and grow up singing into their adulthood. Keep in mind that many of these children begin school at as early as 2 years old. Every lyric they hear is about nationalism, their great leader, and hatred for other countries. That said, talented musicians are typically very well respected in North Korea. A lot of them lead better lives than the average citizen, but that still doesn't mean they live lavish lifestyles. This video surfaced YouTube 13 years ago and shows just how little artistic freedom North Koreans have. These children can't be more than 5 years old, yet they look and play like they're 30-year-olds. Their robotic demeanor and choreography all springs from the extremely disciplined education they receive. Every North Korean artist, whether you're a painter, musician, or dancer, are assigned to government institutions such as the National Theater for the Arts and the State Symphony Orchestra in Pyongyang. This means that the North Korean government watches every action of your artistic career, and if you slip up even once, it could mean death. I mentioned that talented musicians in North Korea typically lead better lives than the average citizen. However, they lead much riskier lives too. Not only are they under the pressure of perfectionism, they have to live up to the standard of their culture. In 2001, a North Korean musician named Kim Cheo-woong found himself in a precarious situation. At one point in his life, he went to Moscow to study abroad. While he was there, he learned a song called L for Love. Now back in North Korea, this song resurfaced in his mind and he began to practice it in his room. Unfortunately for him, a military officer heard him playing it behind closed doors and reported him to the North Korean police. They flagged him for playing capitalist music even though Kim had no idea the song was even from Moscow. He forgot where he heard it. Later, he claimed he only practiced the song to impress a girl that he liked. Luckily for Kim, his family ranked very high in North Korea and he was able to get off pretty much scot-free for North Korean standards. His only punishment was to write a 10-page letter of apology explaining where he heard the song and how sorry he was to his supreme leader. If he was a nobody in North Korea, his fate would have been far worse. Continuing with the trend of freedomless musicians in North Korea leads us to one of many North Korean unsolved mysteries. From 2009 to 2013, the Unhasu Orchestra were one of North Korea's most prominent bands. While notable for their electric performances, they were perhaps best notable because Kim Jong-un's own girlfriend at the time was part of the band. The controversy comes in 2013 when a South Korean news station speculated that the North Korean military publicly executed up to 12 members of the band, including Kim Jong-un's own lover. However, sources later discovered that his now ex was fine as she was shown on TV expressing her love to her supreme leader. So how much of that story is actually true? In 2015, South Korean lawmaker Shin Kyung-min revealed findings from the NIS. NIS is the National Intelligence Service. It's pretty much South Korea's equivalent to our CIA or FBI. In these reports, 4 top members of the orchestra were executed in Pyongyang for spying for South Korea. To make matters even worse, 400 to 500 members of the North Korean artistic community were forced to watch. I have to add that none of these reports were actually confirmed, so for now, we just have to speculate. However, the orchestra never showed up for the day of the foundation of the Republic in 2013, an event that they were confirmed to perform at. While no one knows the fate of all these people, a few have been spotted alive. According to writer Adam Cathcart, a few of the orchestra's violinists were spotted playing for the Mongolian president when he visited North Korea. However, these people were spotted in 2013 and the reports came out in 2015, so it would have been 2 years later. I'm not going to get into the geopolitics of North and South Korea, but in case you didn't know, they don't like each other very much. With that said, pretty much any shocking story on either side is gonna get traction no matter how crazy or insane or false it is. We'll probably never know exactly what happened to the Unhasu Orchestra, but it's very likely that many of the players either transitioned or moved on from the orchestra altogether. A commenter on Adam Cathcart's website actually made a really interesting point about the disbandment of the group. He says, "I wonder whether a disbandment might form part of a strategy. Let's call it what's old is new again. So if you will tolerate the illusion, the dated fashions of earlier years are put away for a new wardrobe, one satisfying the needs of the present. After a time, the former will be brought out and not just dusted off, but presented as progressive, vibrant, and entirely desirable." I assume what Steve is talking about is simply artistic evolution. North Korea's leaders need to maintain their godlike image. So how are they going to do that with a stale orchestra? To keep their people brainwashed, they need to always be taking their entertainment to the next level, whether that's through the music, through choreography, or through their costumes. The sketchiest part of the whole Unhasu situation to me is there's no good reason why any of these people were supposedly killed. There are reports that they were part of a pornography scandal, but the situation doesn't go further than that. As mentioned earlier, there were accusations that they were South Korean spies, but really? It's too big a story and there's too many people to keep track of in a country we don't really have access to. But this is a situation that could probably be an entire video in its own right, so just let me know what your guys' theories are down in the comments. Another notorious group from the DPRK is the Morang Bong band. As you can see, they are clearly more rock and pop oriented than anything we've looked at so far today. Each member of the group handpicked by Kim Jong-un himself. Something I actually found really funny about the group is they formed right after Psy's Gangnam Style was blowing up, so I guess Kim felt like he had to keep up with the times. But enough joking about them because their situation is actually very sad. As you can see, their outfits are very different than something you'd see on the average North Korean woman. Like if a random North Korean woman wore something like that on the streets, there's like a 99% chance they'd be prosecuted. But the reason I bring that up is because the women in the band are forced to be on diets to make sure they don't go overweight and can't fit in the costumes anymore. Just thought that was a really sad detail and I should mention it. But getting back into the music itself, something interesting about the band is that each woman is actually a high-ranking military officer for the North Korean government. And because of that, the band is actually considered a military orchestra, not a pop band. That pretty much answers my suspicion earlier regarding North Korean lyrics. Yeonmi Park, who's now a famous North Korean defector, actually posted that video of the Morang Bong band. She said, "As you can see, every single song in North Korea is a worship song for Kim's dictatorship. Other Western songs are banned and people get jailed for listening to them." While Yeonmi herself has been the subject of some controversy, a lot of what she says here holds true. The issue with North Korea is that there's so little coverage of the country that the defectors are our only source of information. While we covered some of North Korea's planted bands and orchestras, I wanted to delve deeper into some of their generic music. What does the casual North Korean listen to, if anything? Considering they only have a one-channel radio, probably nothing of note, right? As I went down the rabbit hole, it became clear to me that almost every song North Korea puts out has to do with their social stigma and the way they're perceived by other countries. While North Korea's government wants their people to perceive them as a global superpower, they take a bizarre approach to other countries. It's almost like they engineer these poppy songs to either A, keep pace with first world nations like the US, UK, etc., or B, want other countries to perceive them as non-threatening to put up this sort of front to make you forget about them. Kim, you literally have nukes. But anyway, option A makes sense from every standpoint I can think of. Similar to the disbandment of the Unhasu orchestra, everything about North Korea must stay modern, including its music. The more relevant they stay, the less awareness their people have about the outside world. But let's talk about some other generic North Korean music. The Whistle Song was really the only North Korean song I could find that wasn't about its supreme leader or greatness as a country. However, I could be wrong because the language barrier made it very hard for me to figure out what the lyrics actually are in their songs. There's not even a lot of lyric pages for these North Korean songs, so I can't copy and paste into Google Translate. Anyway, the song sounds like something straight off a classic ABBA album, and it's a very catchy listen. There's a music video that accompanies it showing two North Koreans who are very smitten for each other. On the surface level, it's very cute and fun, but if anyone knows anything about the lyrics, please let me know in the comments. My last and favorite song I want to talk about is Nice to Meet You by Pochombo Electric Ensemble. I have been saving this band for last because they produce some of the catchiest music I've ever heard. With these beautiful 80s guitars and synthesizers, a transcending vocal performance, and heavenly backing vocals, this song is just perfect. But unfortunately, while this song creatively is a masterpiece, it's still a piece of media in the firm grasp of North Korea's government. This is actually the song they play when tourists visit Pyongyang to sort of welcome them into the city. It's yet another front they put on to hide how their people are truly treated. And as I kept jamming out to this blissful, funky rhythm, I got hit with a really big wave of sadness. I thought about all the talented people in North Korea and how much of their talents are going to be wasted because of artistic limitation. Just imagine what some of these people could put out with full studio sessions, freedom of speech, and newer audio equipment. For me, that's the most heartbreaking piece of doing research for this video, especially coming from a place in East Asia, which is a part of the world that has given us countless classics over the years, and we'll probably never get to hear what these people may have made if they were free. That brings us to the end of my video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on that bell for notifications for new videos. Worked really hard on this one, so would appreciate that. Let me know if you guys found anything cool that I forgot to mention in this video, but that's gonna do it. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'm Deadpan Duke. I'll see you in the next one.